Hi everybody, Erica here of Fibersandfloss Canada. I'm excited to come back with an actual regular video today. The last month I've been filming a lot of Mirabilia special videos and I'm really just missing my regular content. I really want to get back to stitching. I've loved stitching Mirabilias, but stitching something that is not a Mirabilia, as well as getting into just more of our community corners, whip that wheel and that sort of thing. So I want to thank you if you are a returning viewer, a subscriber. It means a lot to me that you follow along on my journey here. You know, just the interaction with the comments and stuff, it does mean the world. It brings me a lot of joy just hearing what people get out of this. So thank you very much if that is you. And if you're new here, this is a channel all about cross stitch, and sometimes I throw in some other crafts as well, but today is largely cross stitch. So for today for you guys, I do have a Mirabilia finish I will share with you. I have some whips. I have two new starts. I have our Flosstubeversity. I have our community corner, whip that wheel. I have a giveaway winner and another giveaway as well that will be new today. And then at the end, I just have one quick little knitting project that will take me maybe 3 minutes to share with you guys, and that will be our plan for today. So I'll just start with my book of days from Needlework Press. So this is the 2024. Actually, I'll show you May as well. So May, I participated in Mirabilia, which is stitching everything Mirabilia Designs. And so this was my month. I have a list of my whips on the side here. And that's everything that I have stitched throughout the last month. And then I have done June as well. And for June, I decided to do a theme of circus stickers, because I feel like as a mom of 3 kids, the end of the school year, you know, getting ready for summer plans and just all the year-end shows, that it's a bit of a circus in our household. And so I thought, yep, this is kind of how I feel. Life is a bit, you know, upside down, things are up in the air, we're all over the map. So I'll stitch what I can, but June is a very, very busy month for us next to, you know, September and December. So we'll see what I can do there. I'll just dive right in, and I will start with showing you my finish. Now I can't actually show you the pattern because I did a giveaway for this one my last video, and this is Royal Games 1. It was very close to being finished last video, which is why I did the giveaway for the pattern. All I needed to do was complete some beading, and so I've done that, and I'd like to share that with you guys. I realized my light wasn't on, and I think that makes a big difference when I'm sharing something with Kreinik and beads, so I've added it for you guys. So here it is. This is Royal Games 1 by Mirabilia Designs. This is the whole piece here. The very cool thing about this, and I'm not going to talk a lot about my Mirabilias today because I've done that so much in depth in the last month, so if you want more information, just hop back to the May episodes and you'll find lots of info on these pieces. But the cool thing about this design, there's Royal Games 1 and 2. 1 here we have Queen of Hearts at the top and Queen of Spades at the bottom, but the fact that you can frame it in whichever direction that you want to frame it. Let's check out the beading because it is very, very cool. So this one here is the Queen of Spades. She has a ton of beads there, and I did some different directions with the beads. You'll notice some that are horizontal, some are vertical, and some are on an angle, just to show some movement in direction in what she is wearing. And then I have the Queen of Hearts. So I'll just turn the board around for you guys. And she has this fabulous gold crown with beads in there as well. And I'll probably insert some pictures while I'm talking. The really neat thing about this pattern as well is that there is a line here that kind of goes along here, and you're able to actually stitch Queen of Hearts up top, but you can also stitch around the bottom if you want. And so some people have done that. So you end up with 4 individual patterns, and then you can frame them, put them in your games room, whatever you like. I've decided I'm not framing this one yet because I do have Royal Games 2. I bought them together with the matching fabric and kitted them all up at the same time. And so I think that I want to frame them at the same time just to ensure that they're identical. yeah, so I've really enjoyed stitching that one. The reason why it didn't get finished at the beginning of the month is because I wanted to do a beading tutorial for Mirabilia, and so this was a project I featured for a lot of the beading, and I'll put a link here for you if you're curious to know how beading works. It's part of our Flosstubeversity, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. My next Mirabilia that I have to share with you is a whip as well. My goal for this one, Royal Games 1, 32 count Optic White, using the called for DMC, Kreinik, and beads. There's no silks in that one. No. Okay. Next pattern. This one I haven't put on a board today, so I'm just going to kind of throw it over this board. I hope that's okay for you. This is an out of print chart. I'll put a picture up for you here. This is Fairy Idyll. And again, we've shown a lot of this in May. But my goal for the month was to finish her arm, which I've stitched 1 over 1. And so this is where I'm at. Now look closely at her arm. Do you see there's that, I'll see if I get closer. Part of her arm by her bicep there looks a little bit darker than the rest. Can you see that? Because of that, it's right there. Do you see that there? She's in a timeout. I was frustrated with her. So what I had done was another mirror tutorial showing how to do skin conversion from stitching 2 over 2 to 1 over 1. And I had used this. And I don't know why, but I always, you know, if I frog any floss or anything like that, I do tend to reuse it. And I don't know why I do that. Anyways, I did the tutorial. I frogged what I had done. I decided, okay, I'm going to dive into stitching her arm. Oh, it's the same color that I had just stitched with. And so I decided, okay, I'm just going to reuse that. And that's what happened. And I think what happened was we just lost maybe a little bit of, it didn't seem like it when I frogged it, but obviously I must have lost some of the fiber in the frogging process. And so I think that floss there is just a little bit thinner. Now, 1 over 1 is next to impossible to rip out, especially when, you know, when you have just gone down, you just started stitching, you can rip out a little bit and backtrack. It's challenging, but doable. But the fact that I was stitching this at night with my magnifying light, and I thought, you know, maybe it was just the lighting, the colors, I don't know, and I finished that thread and I started another thread. So now this part of the arm is completely encased by other stitches, and it's going to be impossible to rip it out. I will have to cut it out, and I don't know that I can do that without ruining the fabric. So it's in a timeout. I'm going to think about what I'm going to do with that. I'm not sure yet at this point. It would have been great content for the 1 over 1 video, just for problem shooting and, you know, teaching you maybe not to reuse your threads, but the video is up and I missed that. So anyways, that one was stitched on 32 count Mirage by Picture This Plus. It's using all the called for DMCs, the Kreinik, Caron Waterlilies silks, and there's lots of beads as well. So I'm excited to get that one going. My next whip is another Mirabilia. This was the last one I had done in the month, and this one here was a new start for me. The pattern I have here was a giveaway last month as well. So this is the pattern. It's called Bluebeards Princess, and she's a mermaid, and it's the very first mermaid I've ever stitched. And so I thank everyone for all of their comments and encouragement, and you know, there was some great comments from this here. Just her colors are so beautiful, and when I filmed it last time, I put a bunch of pictures in of the finished stitch that some people had posted, and it is just gorgeous. So for the giveaway, I used the YouTube random comment picker, and our code word was mermaid for this one, and the winner is Esther Oval 7909. And so if that is you, send me a little message. If you go to the contact box, I have all of my ways you can contact me there with either Gmail, Instagram, YouTube, you name it. And then just send me your address and I'll get that out to you right away. So, and the reason why I'm giving this pattern away is because I had bought two. There was 1, 2, 3 stitch it when you have something in your cart and you pull that up like the fabric I was ordering. I forgot to unselect the pattern, and so I ended up with 2. So Esther, you get to benefit from that, and I hope you'll enjoy it. It looks like you've never stitched a mermaid before, so that'll be something new for you. Now for this piece itself, it is a stitched on 32 count Laurel by Wichelt, or Permanent of Copenhagen, and it is beautiful. So my goal was, with my work, I stitch every day. I'm not working. 5 days in the month of May was my goal, but May got away on me because I worked really hard to finish that beading, and I worked really hard to finish that 1/1. The 1/1 stitching, you guys, takes forever. That little arm probably took me, I would say, maybe 10 hours to do that. It's a ridiculous amount of time. Anyways, this is where I got. And it's not clipped on, so I just have to hold it, but Wichelt fabric, super stiff, so it should be okay. So this is super fun. The colors, the crown, everything is just fabulous. There's some gold Kreinik in the crown. There is some green Kreinik in the crown as well. And then just starting her hair. There's also some Caron watercolor, Waterlily silks in the crown, and then in the top of her hair there'll be some as well. You can see here that this is her arm coming up here, and then she's holding a bit of a comb, and the comb will be all beaded as well. So that's been a lot of fun to do. I have to tell you, this is definitely scratching that itch I had for stitching a Mirabilia, wanting to have that comfort stitching, some block stitching, some really great colors. And that was my goal originally with my birthday start, Fairy Idyll. And unfortunately, I found that one just not, I found it initially giving me more frustration than enjoyment. And I don't know. I can just tell you that I'm super happy with Bluebeards Princess. It's giving me that enjoyment that I was seeking. And I am stitching that one in hand, so it's not on a frame. It's a bit challenging with Wichelt because the fabric is so stiff, but that's okay. You know, a lot of people kind of steer away from Wichelt fabric for that reason, but I think just trusting the process, the mirrors look so very good. And even stitching in hand on Wichelt, I find your stitches look pretty good, and I think it's because the fabric is so stiff. So I don't know if they maybe have like a starch in part of their finishing process, or I don't know why their fabric is stiff, but it's definitely not something that's like soft and floppy in your hands. You know, can basically stand up on its own almost. So that was really fun. I've really enjoyed it. I wanted to stitch more on it, but I popped it away at the end of the month. I didn't get that 5th day in there, and I'll look forward to pulling that one out again soon. So now that brings me to another giveaway I want to do with you guys, and it's a Mirabilia as well. And I forgot to give this away. When I'm done stitching my patterns, if my girlfriend doesn't want them, I'm happy to pass them along free of charge. So I did finish Tree of Hope last month in April, and I never did a giveaway for the pattern, and so this is Tree of Hope by Mirabilia Designs. It's a pretty fun one, and everything, it's still in print, and all of the Kreinik, the beads, the silks, it's all there's no Kreinik in this one, sorry. It's all still produced and readily available, so it's an easy one to kit up for sure. So I want to give this one away. Our code word for this one, our keyword, let's do hope. I think that we could definitely use some hope these days for sure. So you must be 18 years or older. You can be anywhere in the world. Leave a comment, use the keyword hope. Make sure you like and subscribe on the video, and I'll draw for that on my next video. So good luck to you guys. That was a really fun one to stitch, and the flowers were Art Deco inspired. It was fun. The tree, I blew through the tree. It's mainly silk. It was such a nice, lovely experience to stitch that one. And if you want to know more about it, I've got lots of info in my previous videos, especially April. When I finished it, I talked a fair bit about that there. Okay, so my next sal that I've been working on, my next whip is a sal, and this is the Frazzled Frog sal. It's being hosted by Amber with Rogue Mama Stitcher, and she has a Flosstube as well. So you guys, if you don't know her, go check her out because she has some of the most fantastic projects that she kits up, and just, you know, projects that I don't stitch myself, so I enjoy watching people that stitch something different from what I have in my collection. So I really do enjoy seeing her. She's very light and fun, and you know, she has a really good sense about her when you're watching her videos. So this one here, it's hosted by Amber, but she's stitching with Ali of the.xstitch.files, and she's only on Instagram. She does not have a Flosstube, not that I could find anyways. I did have a peek. Now this pattern is called Frog, and it is designed by Kate Abbey with Hoops and Crosses out of the UK, and it does, there is a swear word in here, so if you don't like that, just plug your ears for a minute. But in the design here, it says, "What the hap is fucking," and I thought it's funny because I don't normally stitch designs that are kind of more like fun and entertaining. It's not my usual selection, but two things I relate to that statement. I feel like in my life right now, that's very much me all the time. And then the other thing as well is I love anything with a rainbow. So this is my car stitch. This is what I've been working on while I'm waiting to pick up the kids, etc. I will put a picture in here of where I was last time. And this, let me just put my floss ring here with you too. This here is where I am at now. So this has been really fun. I'm stitching this on an 18 count, just a standard black Aida, and I'm using the called for DMC colors. And I've just started with the frog, so I'm doing a bit of his outline. In my previous video, I had talked about this because the pattern is stitched on white fabric, and the frog has some black outlining throughout the inside just to highlight, you know, the creases of his legs and that sort of thing, and his arms. And then he also does have black outline around the outside of the frog too. And I was not sure what I should do there because you know, it's on black fabric. Am I gonna see the black stitching? So I asked you guys on the last video what you guys, what you thought or what you would do. And there was a lot of suggestions, and I thank you guys for your input. The two most popular colors seem to be a dark green or a gray. And now there is a lot of dark green in the frog already. So what I'm gonna do is actually stitch up the frog first, and then I'll leave the outlining to last. And then I guess I'll probably just do a trial and see what looks best, whether that's a dark green, something different, or something I've used in the frog already, or a gray, or even the black. So I think by the time I film next, this should be done, and I'll share that. And then my plan is to finish it on the front of like a little notions bag or something like that, something fun. So I've really enjoyed that. If you guys want to join and stitch that as well, it was super easy to kit up. It didn't really cost much money. And I think the pattern was like maybe $5 or something like that, $7. It's pretty inexpensive. So if you want to, we're using the hashtag FrazzledFrogSal. And yeah, you guys can jump in anytime. It'll be a lot of fun. Now, my next whip, I have to tell you that with, I have another train coming. I had a train coming last week when I was filming. I'm gonna pause because they're really, really loud, and I'll be right back. I don't know. The train's here, but it's quiet, so off we go. So the Mirabilias, love them, but it left me really wanting to stitch some sort of a sampler. I have ordered something for one of the Hands Across the Sea samplers. It hasn't arrived yet, and I thought I was gonna pull out something I haven't worked on in a little bit. And so I have decided to pull out a pattern called Inspired by Nature, and it's by Quaint Rose Needle Art. And this is the booklet here, but this is the one that I'm stitching, is this piece. And this is super fun for so many reasons. So first I'll just say that, you know, the picture, honestly, we always say it doesn't do justice, but it really doesn't. I think that it's Macey that has Quaint Rose Needle Arts, and she, I'll put a picture here so I don't have to, it's not shaky while I hold it. She frames and does her own photographs, and I think that, you know, she just doesn't do justice to her own pieces, because I can look at them online and I see, you know, the post on Instagram, or I see them on 123 Stitch, and I just kind of tend to, you know, slide past them. But when I watch her Flosstube, the pieces look completely different in person or in film. They are stunning. The colors are vibrant. They are fun. She brings so many different fun elements into her piece. And as a stitcher, I'm always trying to, you know, teach myself a new skill, try something I haven't tried before. I don't know, I enjoy stitching, but I don't know that I want to stitch the exact same, just plain excess all the time every day. I know some people absolutely love that, and I do love it as well, but I also really love throwing in, you know, some special stitches or different techniques. So this piece is so much fun. I don't know if you've noticed this, but two things I want to share and point out here before I start, because I haven't really gone through this yet myself, or reached that part myself in my stitching. But first of all, let's talk about how she's got two different pieces of linen here. And so that is a skill I had never done before. I did talk about this a fair bit in my Flosstube number 5 of this year. And so if you're interested in more, go back and check it out, because I have a lot more information. But I had to learn how to attach two pieces of linen together. And so to do that, yes, let's talk about that first. So to do that, you have to use a running stitch, which is basically your simple sewing stitch. You go up and down and up and down, and then when you get to the end, you're gonna go down and up, and so you end up with a solid piece of stitching. It's solid on the top and solid on the bottom, and it holds that piece together very, very well. And it took me a while. It took me maybe, I had never done it before. It was a new skill I learned. There's only one tutorial I could find on YouTube teaching this. So maybe it's a tutorial I might do, but it took me maybe 2 hours to sew this together. That being said, the fabric, I went with the called for fabric in this piece, and it is 36 count seaweed and 36 count duxbury, both by Fox and Rabbit. Both are hard to get, and I could only find the seaweed in a 40 count, so I ended up doing 40 for both. So this is where I'm at right now. Previously I had done part of this, I had done this red border and a little bit of this here, but this week I have done all of this in here. And you can see where I've attached those two pieces of linen. So if we look really close here, that's, I don't know if it's focusing well, I'll put some pictures in. That is sewn together, and then the red stitches on the top, they're just decorative. They don't need to be there at all. They don't hold any function. They're just there purely from a decorative purpose. But it was a really neat skill to learn. And you can see, like, where can I show you? Let's show you on the back of the board here. You can see how that's stitched together and then it's just pressed open. And it's solid, like it's not going to come apart. It's not going to, you know, fall apart over years. Even if I tug on it quite firmly, it's not going anywhere. So that skill was very, very fun to learn. This piece I'm excited for because we are stitching red and it comes all the way down the edge of the pattern. And that's really fun too, just to have that solid red piece, right? And then the top here, these are 3 flowers, and then in the bottom, so these voids here, I just started one. This one's there's like a beetle, and then there is a ladybug, or a ladybird, whatever you want to say, and a bumblebee. So those will be really, really fun to stitch, and I'm enjoying it. It's awesome. I am stitching this one in hand as well, just to get that, you know, comfort stitching. The colors for it are classic color works, but largely most of them are Gentle Arts. So they are beautiful, vibrant colors. Absolutely love those. They're so much fun to stitch with. But the other really neat part about this design, you guys, is there's a little bit of applique in it. And so if you don't know what that means, that is, you know, taking a piece of fabric or something that you have stitched, and you're going to take that finished piece and you're going to put it on top of your main piece, and you're going to connect it. And so she's done that down here with this like stick bug and it's probably a moth. I was gonna say butterfly, but I think it's probably a moth. And so those are both stitched on seaweed, and then they're cut out and stuck on. And what she's done is she's attached them with pins. I don't know if you can, don't know if that's really focusing for you guys there. And she's chose to do pins instead of tacking it down or sewing it down, because if you think about, you know, if you go to museums and they have, I don't know the correct term for it, but they have a box with all the insects and stuff in there. The preserved ones, they're pinned on, they're pinned in place, or they can be attached, and I don't know if they use like a glue or, you know, a pinning process from behind and underneath somehow, I don't know. So I'm not sure how I'm going to attach those yet. I haven't decided, but I am really, really looking forward to stitching the piece. You know, when I look here, I'm gonna go across the top, and then she's got like, there's a beescape in there. She's got a couple of animals. She has a nice tree with more animals. It looks like a really fun piece to me, so I'm looking forward to it. I think the only change I'm going to make is the bee's wings. I'll probably use a blending filament of some sort for that there. And maybe some shiny, no, I was gonna say maybe shiny thread for that little cricket or beetle, but it's actually not black, it's like a lighter color, so I won't change that, I don't think. Anyways, so that is a really fun piece. With Macey, she does have a floss tube as well. So it is Quaint Rose Needle Arts, and I'll link her. Go check her out. She just did a bunch of releases. She's got some patriotic releases. She made a pillow. I'll put a picture here for you. A pillow and a house, it's called Grace on Thee. And then she's also just done Anne Hughes 1852, and that one was the Woodfield house, and that's fun. So if you look at the picture here, look at the variegation. Oh, here comes the train now. You're gonna hear it. There's some variegation in those urns, and this is a reproduction that she has done, and she was able to find something that had a great variegated thread and was almost able to match it up identically, which is unbelievable. And then the last one, the new release, is Teresa Real. It's a 1898 sampler, and it is all red, and we know how much we all love those red samplers. So go check it out. I know you can order her stuff on her website, but then also 123 Stitch carries it. A bunch of other shops carry them as well. So she's definitely worth checking out for sure. Now, my next piece I have to share with you is my round robin. So for my round robin piece, I'm stitching a piece with Samantha, the Huga Stitcher, and Sarah, who is Lady Lugana. They both have floss tubes, and I talk about Sam all the time. I'm sure you guys all watch her already. She stitches a lot of Mirabilias, but also in the last few years she's been branching out and trying to stitch some designers she's not familiar with. So, you know, she did, she's working on a Hands Across the Sea, Kathy Barrick, she's doing Hawk Run Hollow, she's doing some Lila Studios, just trying to expand her collection a little bit more. And then of course she has a ton of Mirabilia and Nora Corbett. So if you're not familiar with her, go check her out. I know she released a new video yesterday, I do believe it was, and I'm planning on watching it as soon as I'm done filming. I'm very excited. And then Sarah, so Sarah is Lady Lugana. She's down in the States and she is awesome as well. And so she stitches everything. Oh my goodness, from, you know, she has quite a few Haid projects to Mirabilias to, you know, ones that she's purchased off Etsy that are designers that are unknown to me. And she has a lot of whips. Sarah, how many whips do you have? I'm sure you must have 100 whips at least. Every time I watch your Flosstube, there's something I haven't seen before. So she's definitely lots of selection, a lot of new pieces. Every time I'm watching, there's something that's new to me I haven't seen. So she's definitely worth checking out for sure. Now, together we've decided, instead of purchasing a new pattern and, you know, sending it between all of us, we decided to actually use a pattern we already had, one of our whips that was just not getting the love that we felt it deserved, or perhaps we felt stalled on it, or we just wanted to move it along for whatever reason. And so I have sent my Kringles off to Sarah, and I have received Samantha's stitch. And Samantha's stitch is Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow by Carriage House Samplings. And you guys all know this one well. So many people have been stitching this one over the last couple of years. And the cool thing about doing this round robin is that, you know, this is a pattern I want to stitch, because I look at those ladies in the middle. Just look at that. Look at the color. Look at those witches there. It's so much fun. But it is a huge pattern, and I have so many large pieces on the go already. I struggle to, I don't know, like I want to buy it. I want to buy all the things, but I can't. And so this is an excellent way where I actually get to stitch on the piece. I love it. I still want to stitch it for myself, but yet I'm helping a friend out at the same time. And Carriage House Samplings is something I haven't stitched before, so it's nice to experience that as well. So this is a rather inexpensive way to, you know, get some progress on your pieces, but also sample stitching on something you haven't stitched before. So I highly recommend, you know, if you got some stitchy friends and you're interested in this, to do a round robin this way. It definitely has been a lot of fun so far. So when I received this from Samantha, she had done the first 3 blocks and she had started the 4th block. These blocks are, I think they're just shy of 100 by 100. I think they're like 96 stitches or something like that, 94 stitches. And so I've decided to work on that, and I was able to finish that last block. So I will share that with you guys here. This is a big board, so bear with me. Okay, so this one here is stitched on 40 count Legacy. It is a Newcastle linen, obviously. So did you guys know that, you know, we hear Newcastle linen, we hear, oh, now I can't think of them all. So whenever you hear Newcastle, it's always a 40 count Zweigart. So the ones with the names Belfast linen, it's always Zweigart, and it's always 32. What are the other ones? Lugana is always linen, and it's always a 32. Although there were times you could do a, hold on, I've got a piece of paper, and I think it's worth sharing this with you because I didn't know this until about the last 6 months. Just one second. Okay, so there was a viewer a couple months ago who, I can't remember how, when I did the Flosstubeversity on the linen series, they were asking questions about the names that go along with the linen. So any fabric that we have, will have, generally speaking, a name referring to the color of whatever piece you've purchased. But with Zweigart, they used to not name it by count, they would name it by names instead of the counts. And so, 40 count was always Newcastle, 32 count was always Murano, and then they have, in the last about 10-15 years, transitioned more to Belfast. So if you ever see a Murano, that is, that's also a 32 count. Their 28 count was known by Brittany, and I've never heard that before, or Jaslyn, and I have heard Jaslyn. 25 count was always Lugana, but now this is one that has changed. So you can now get Lugana, and it's confusing because Lugana is also a type of even weave, and so you can get Lugana in other counts, but historically speaking, it used to just be 25 count linen with Zweigart, but now that one has evolved into more counts. And then their 20 count was Balana or Valerie, and I've never heard of either of those. So just interesting little tidbit of information. I thought, oh, so when I say 40 count Newcastle, it's a bit redundant, right? So I could just say it's a 40 count Zweigart, and this is the color that they use. This modeling color is Legacy by Picture This Plus. Look at the modeling, you guys. I mean, I don't think Samantha could have chose a better fabric for this piece. I don't know if this was the called for or not. It looks different than the picture there, but you know how the pictures look different. This is beautiful. The fabric is lovely. It's super soft. The colors though, for like a witchy stitch, is perfect. It's maybe slightly less yellow and a little bit more gray in real life. Anyways, all that just to say that this is a perfect fabric choice, and that's the block that I finished, the fourth one there. So this one here, I'll put in a couple pictures because I just want to show you the colors and the bricks at the bottom. Now can we just admire those brick colors for a minute? They are stunning. You know, to be honest, I got to the bricks and I thought, oh, I don't know, sometimes it's not what I was feeling, you know, stitching 4 or 5, well, I guess 4 to 8 stitches and then changing colors, and then another 4 to 8 changing colors, right? But the colors were super pleasing. I just absolutely loved them, and then I quite enjoyed stitching that part. Samantha is using the DMC conversion for this one, and the colors are quite stunning still. And I have seen, I think it was Pam from Just Keep Stitching was doing this one as well, and she had talked to the color conversion, maybe it was the fall, and said, you know, the oranges in the middle there with those ladies, with the witches that are at the cauldron, those oranges, she said, are just amazingly vibrant. And she was shocked that, you know, with DMC that it was so, it was such a beautiful conversion. Yeah, so if you're thinking about this, and you know, because we all look at the silks, and I mean, I'd love to stitch everything in silk, but who can afford that? I can't, that's for sure. So it's always nice to know which ones, which conversions are great with DMC. Some of them, you know, some of them even have looked better with DMC, I've heard. So I know Hands Across the Sea, Nicola Apartment has amazing conversions to DMC. And I've heard from multiple people, do not ever hesitate on just converting those to DMC, because they do a stunning job and they are beautiful. You will not regret, and especially you don't want to stitch something and later on look at someone who's done it in the MPIs and think, oh, that one looks way better than mine. So it's nice to know which ones have solid conversions. Now I have a question for you. I have this project till the end of July, and so I need to know what I should stitch, which direction from here. So when I look at the pattern, I've got a couple options I'm thinking of. I've got 2 months worth of stitching, so I think I could do, some of these blocks are full coverage, and that would be like 10,000 stitches. This is a lot of stitches. So I've got 2 options. I could do this block here. I'll just zoom in for you guys. That is full. I'm gonna get my face out of there and then maybe it might zoom in for you. Focus? No. I'll put a picture for you. That one is full coverage, all except the very top little blip up here, which is about 6 stitches in width. And so I could tackle that one, or I could outline all of these boxes that are remaining and start in the jack-o'-lantern box. So what do you guys think? If you were a stitcher, if you were Samantha, would you prefer a full coverage block done, or would you prefer your outlining to be done? What would you like? And based off of what you guys decide, that's what I'm gonna stitch for her, okay? Now, I have another new start I want to share with you, but I'm going to slide this in with Community Corner all in one. So for Community Corner, this is great because I haven't got to really talk about Flosstube community in a month. You know, there's been a lot of people talking about, you know, cross stitch. Are you a process stitcher versus a, you know, progress stitcher? Process or progress. So progress stitching is just all about, let's just get it done, get the piece done, get it up, you know, get it done as soon as possible, that sort of thing. Or the process stitching is enjoying the whole process. So stitching at a bit of a slower rate, you're not, you know, held to deadlines, you're doing it more because you enjoy doing it either way, but it is a stress-free, more relaxed approach where you really enjoy your stitching. And I know for me, I'm definitely a process stitcher. If I'm working on something and it's not bringing me joy and it's causing me frustration, generally I'm gonna walk away from it. I won't ditch it completely, I'll come back to it, but I do like to enjoy it. There was a video I had done, I didn't write it down. Number 7, I think, of 2023, and it was Why Do We Stitch? And there was actually a book I read, it was really good, about how traditionally, well even today, but when people make things with their hands, whether that be stitching or if it is gardening or baking bread or carpentry work or sewing, anything that you are making a finished product from your hands, we benefit from that in so many ways. We have different hormone levels in our brain, different types of synapses are created in our brain. We are meant to make with our hands. And historically speaking, I mean, that's all we knew. You know, we always made to live. We made because we needed to make. It was a vital skill that people, you know, look at the samplers, right? These little girls learning to stitch and learning all these different types of stitching and samplers. And they weren't stitching these samplers for beauty to hang on the wall. They were stitching it because there was a functional purpose behind that. And, you know, fast forward to today, we've gotten completely away from that. You want something for your wall, you're going to, you know, an art gallery, or you're going to like Winners or a Home Sense, and you're buying something cheap, mass produced to put on the wall. We've just completely gotten away from that appreciation of making things, appreciating those things, valuing those things. And, you know, we're just really, we're stuck in this mass consumerism, right? And so in doing so, we need to work more. We have less time to make things with our hands. So instead of making that bread in the morning, we're buying the bread in the, you know, late at night, right? So we're transitioning away from making. But the point here is that process stitching, I highly, highly value it. It's meditative. It gives us, it puts us back into that making process, which is so healthy for, you know, our brains, our mental health, and I think we need that support now more than ever. So all that to say that, you know, Flosstube is this community of stitchers. Yes, and yes, you can watch Flosstube on YouTube and it's a form of entertainment and whatever, moving on from there, but it is so much more than that entertainment, right? You know, it's a way that we have built this like virtual community where we're connecting with each other, we're visiting with each other in each other's homes, we're making this connection, we're sharing our time with one another, we're learning from one another, we're passing the skill on to each other. You know, it's a wonderful, wonderful community, and I'm just so grateful to be a part of that. And I'm so grateful that you guys are, you know, being a part of, you know, watching what I'm putting out there to share and watching what everybody else is filming to put out to share, and that you are keeping this handy skill alive. And you know, whether or not you're able to introduce that to family or friends or whatnot, I think it's that calm time where we can sit back, relax, and do some stitching, which is quite meditative. It's very beneficial for us, for sure. So thank you so very much. And part of this community corner, why I'm bringing this up now, is because there is someone in our cross stitch community who is very well known, and if you guys don't know her, you need to know her. This is Nicola Parkman. So Nicola Parkman, she's from Hands Across the Sea, or people call it Hats, and her friend Sandra founded this, I don't know how many years ago, in the UK, and it's where they specialize in reproducing antique samplers. And so Nicola does a lot of the stitching for that. And she does retreats over in the US all the time. She's constantly, going back and forth. She does classes, she does workshops. She's just an amazing teacher. She is so fantastic. I mean, I've heard nothing but good things about Nicola Parkman forever. She's just awesome. Now, she is offering one of her workshops for free as a way to give back to our cross stitch community, as a way to strengthen our community, and all of the, so this workshop she's doing, it is a sampler workshop, and it's just teaching some basic stitching skills. Now, the great thing about stitching and stitching skills with Nicola Parkman is that it's not just, okay, here, this is how we make a cross stitch, but she has the history behind every stitch. Everything comes with a story, and she's so well versed with the history of cross stitches. She has done so many reproductions. If you look at Hands Across the Sea website, amazing work, amazing pieces, and all these pieces that you get, of course, come with a big write-up of who stitched this, what is the significance of these motifs, etc., etc. So I decided, you know what, I'm totally going to do this workshop because I'm sure I'll learn something from her, and it's just a neat opportunity to do something different. And so I have started this. The idea of the workshop is that it's to be free, 100% free. So she is not charging for her workshop videos. She has a new video released every week, and I think it's 6 weeks worth. I think it's 6 weeks worth of videos. And then she'd like you to use, some salvage material that you have. We all have cross stitches that end up with a long, odd piece of fabric or whatnot. So she's designed this as a really long piece, and so you should use the floss you have, some salvage material you have, and the workshops are free, so it's easily accessible to everybody. What you need to do in order to get the pattern is you need to go to the Hands Across the Sea website, and you go to purchase their pattern, you add it to your cart, it puts you through the whole purchasing process, but you don't get charged anything at the end of the day. And then you get a link sent to your email with the pattern, and then you print that out yourself at home. Now, this has just exploded, this free workshop. She thought, there might be some people interested, and I think within the first 4 days there was over 2,000 people had downloaded the pattern. And so what she's ended up doing, just thinking, maybe there could be some newer stitchers out there, is she's done 2 videos in order to prepare you for stitching this workshop. And they're great. I've watched both of them. Most of the information, if you're an experienced stitcher, will not be new to you. But it's interesting to see her perspective and her skills and how she approaches things. And then you may learn something that is new to you. So she talks about, fabric preparation, mapping out your fabric. She talks about different ways to start a cross stitch, different ways to end a cross stitch. And then her first video has been released, and that is the running stitch, which everyone thinks it's a basic sewing stitch, the up, down, right? But running stitch in needlework, it does come back as well. So it looks more like, a finished back stitch of something. But if you think about the finished product you see in black work, a lot of us will look at black work and think, oh, I wonder what they, that's a running stitch they use for the majority of that. There is so much you can do with back stitch, and she shares a couple pieces that she's done exclusively in back stitch, and they're stunning. Or running stitch. So the first video you learn running stitch and a double running stitch, and then I'm not sure what we're learning this week, but there'll be a new one released as well. So a lot of information, very, very highly recommend going and downloading it. And then I wanted to share my small start. So this here, I am stitching a little piece of fabric. This is Weeks Dye Works, and this is Tin Roof. It's 40 count, and it was a piece that I had ordered from 123 Stitch, you know, for like $5, thinking I was going to use it for like a Christmas ornament or something. And so I just thought, you know, I want to, whatever sampler I'm doing, hers is DMC floss, and I think there's 7 or 8 colors, but you can use whatever you want, whatever colors you have. And so I've decided I'm using DMC Ecru, and then I'm stitching it on this tin roof. So this is where I'm at so far. It's very small. But the cool thing I've decided to do, and she taught this and talks about it, is reversible cross stitch. So I'll show you the back. So that's something new for me. I've always been intrigued with the samplers that do have reversible stitching, and I want to learn to do that. So that's what I'm learning here, and it's definitely interesting for sure. You see the back? So you can see my ends with the running stitch. There's no way to just fully hide those ends. I was doing individual rows, and then at the end of it, I just said, no, I just did the whole thing back and forth till I got to the end. But that is the reversible cross stitch, you guys. It's pretty good. On camera, is that right for you guys? When I look at it here in person, it's totally backwards, but I think it's right for you. That's cool. And then that's the front. So my plan, 40 count, I need 13 inches long by like 3 inches, and just shy of 3, and I'm gonna be not 13 inches here, it's gonna be less than, so that's totally fine. I'm just gonna make some adjustments to it. It has the uppercase, and then it has numbers, and then there's some motifs and some different blocks of sample stitching, and then lowercase. So I may actually just make this a little bit larger and put the numbers at the bottom, or maybe no numbers. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do yet. But my plan is, when I'm done this, I'm going to do the hem stitch on the edge to finish it. And then I think what I'm gonna do is attach it to a, I want to make a needle book. One of my girlfriends came over, and I thought, oh, what is that? She had this little thing all rolled up, a little tube, and then it had a little tie. It looked very vintage, and she just untied the tie, and the whole thing rolled out, and on the inside, that's where she stores all of her needles, just through like a piece of fabric or felt. And on the back side, you know, she had a piece of fabric, and then you just roll it up and tie it. And so I think I'm gonna make that with this. So I think it'll be interesting. You won't necessarily see that it is reversible, but that is for me and my, you know, my learning to stitch that way. So highly recommend it. Definitely go check it out. There's so much interesting stuff you can learn from her. And you know, it doesn't cost anything. There's nothing to lose by registering. So I definitely highly recommend that for sure. The next thing I wanted to talk about, just make sure I'm not skipping over anything. Right. Some more community corner stuff. On June the 13th, I'm local to Vancouver, BC. I'm doing a stitchy meetup. So I've touched base with some people that have reached out previously. And if that's something that you haven't reached out previously and you're in the area and you want to meet up with us, we're meeting up in the evening of June the 13th. It's a Thursday. So just reach out to me and I can give you the details to join us. And the other thing that I'm interested in is another floss tuber from the Lower Mainland here, and another stitcher. We're going to be going down to the States to meet up with some other floss tubers and check out their LNS, which is about 2 hours from us. It's just outside of Seattle. So, and then that's what I've been watching for Flosstube this week, are these floss tubers that we're meeting. So, Synthematic Stitches, I'll put her name up here. She's also local to Vancouver, and she's super fun stitcher for sure. So we're going to be driving down together. Go check out her channel. She is very high energy. She stitches a lot of fantastic projects, and then at the end of her stitching she talks about what she's reading, what she's watching, and she also likes gaming, so what she's playing as well. but yeah, it's neat to see what she's up to, because we're, you know, in the same area, and it's always nice to have somebody else that's, you know, trying to promote Canadian stitchers and sellers and designers and that sort of thing. So she is participating in is she doing yeah, Strawberry Sal, she is doing that, and then she's also doing Jacob June as well. So some definite fun community connections for her. The other lady we're driving down with, her name is Manvir, and she's local to us as well. She's not a floss tuber, but she is on Instagram, and her handle is mamabear.stitching, and she has some amazing projects. So definitely go give her a follow. She does some awesome finishing too. She's been doing these little tiny stitches and finishing them into books. So definitely worth following her, getting some really cool ideas of what she's doing. I know that she does some retreats as well. I think she did Stitch North this year. And Synthematic, Michaela, she's at StitchCon right now this weekend. So they're definitely, you guys probably will know them already. Now we're going down to meet up with a couple stitchers. So I've watched Megan, the Seattle stitcher, for quite some time now, and she is super fun. So she's a mom of 2 young kids, you know, high energy. She's always stitching awesome projects. She stitches a lot of, you know, her and 3 of her friends hosted Manning May for May. She does a lot of like sampler styles. She also does some knitting. She's a big reader. She has a lot of interesting stuff. And right now her latest kit is kits. She is on this kit kick, as is Rogue Mama Stitcher has been as well. You know, everyone's all about the kits right now. So it's kind of cool to see, you know, some of the kits, there are ones that I am totally not familiar with. So it's neat to see some of those things coming out. She's doing one that looks like a Thomas Kincaid right now. It's just arrived, and her last floss tube, I guess it's 2 floss tubes ago now, was pretty funny. She opened it up and the thing was huge. It was way bigger than she was anticipating. So always a good laugh. She's got lots of good stories she likes to share. So we're meeting up with her, and then we're also meeting up with this new trio, Thread Goblins. Now, I don't know if you guys have watched these 3. There's Caroline, Elizabeth, and Aimee. And Elizabeth, she's stitched forever and a day, and Caroline is new and obsessed with all the things. You know how we want to do all the things, she's doing all the things. And then there's Aimee, who seems, she's new too. She's a bit more conservative in her approach, and she's learning a lot from Elizabeth, but she's got a really good sense of humor too. So these ladies are hilarious. Their floss tube is chaotic. They have little kids between them, and you know, they're just, every floss tube I've watched of theirs, I think they have 6 out now, maybe 7. I'm just laughing my ass off the whole time. They are so funny. So if you guys need a good laugh, you want to spice up your floss tube, watch Thread Gremlins. They're fun, and they're also quite productive on Instagram, because I'm not sure if all of them are posting under Thread Goblins, but Thread Gremlins, but they have a ton of posts on Instagram every day. They've got a great story reel that's going, so definitely follow them. They're quite entertaining for sure. Now, the other one I wanted to mention, she's new to me, and this is someone that Megan Seattle Stitcher turned me on to, and this is Rebecca, and her hashtag is Beck Stitches Everything, and so she has a floss tube. Only 2 videos. I've watched the first one. It was great. She's also a multi-crafter as well. She does knitting. She also likes reading. And she's been stitching, I think, for about 2 years now. So she's participating in the Deadly Aquarium sale right now. And then she's also done Manning May. And I found the first one was pretty entertaining, and I'm going to be watching the second today. So I look forward to meeting her also. So that's my community corner. I feel pretty, you know, my heart's pretty full right now with cross stitch community, and I hope that, you know, through this channel you guys are able to you know, have a sense of the same as well. I think that our cross stitching community is so amazing, and I'm just looking always for ways to participate in that and strengthen that sense of community, which leads me into my Flosstubeversity. So Flosstubeversity, if you're new here, is essentially a bunch of tutorials that I want to be making to help share some of the skills that I have as a stitcher for someone who's maybe looking to learn something different. I've stitched for about 30 years and I'm not an expert, but I like to think that I'm experienced. So for the month of May, I was really busy. Samantha, the Huga stitcher, and I got together and we've stitched together for about probably 27 of those years, and we've stitched largely Mirabilia Designs, and she does lots of Nora Corbett too. So we did a two-part series on how to stitch a Mirabilia, and we talked about everything from who Nora Corbett is to, you know, the thought process of picking out a design, to looking at chart corrections, to, you know, how we execute stitching a Mirabilia design. So there was 2 of those videos, and then we made 2 more tutorials as well, one specific to beading a Mirabilia, but really beading any cross stitch, and then a fourth one, sorry, with converting skin from a 2/2 to a 1/1. And you can do that with anything. And I have to just say thank you so much. Those tutorials were a huge success. The comments, they just brought me so much joy. You know, the amount of people that said, you know, I've had Mirabilia Designs for years and have never stitched them because they just felt intimidated by it, or you know, they've never done the beading, or they weren't sure about the specialty flosses, how to work that. And really, you guys, it's way simpler than you think. You're overthinking it. And in putting these tutorials together, the whole purpose of it was to help alleviate some of those feelings of intimidation. And the comments are amazing. You know, the amount of people that said, oh my gosh, I've decided, that's it, I've pulled it out, I'm starting it. And then the feedback of, oh my gosh, this is so much easier than I thought. We've had a couple people tag us in some finishes, within 2 finishes of Nora Corbett, saying they had never, and they watched our tutorial and now they have stitched one, they finished it, they love it, they're sold. They're buying all the Nora Corbett's out there. And so just to be a part of that feels really good, and I'm really grateful to have been able to share that, and you guys including us in that experience and that journey of that you're having. So I thank you so much for that. Now, I do want to also ask, what is it that you guys would like me to cover next? So my initial Flosstubeversity was all on different fabrics. So we talked about specifically the difference between Aida and even weaves, and then linen as well. And I think there was 4 videos there. I just did the 4 videos for Mirabilias, which of course you can really apply to anything. It does not need to be a Mirabilia pattern. And so I'm just looking to see what it is you guys are wanting more information on. If you guys are looking to do different types of stitches, if you want to know different ways to start your stitching and secure your tail or your end of your thread, different ways to end your thread. Is there something else you're thinking of that you would like to learn how to do, or you know that you've struggled with? If you guys can put a comment and just let me know, I'll definitely be filming one next week. So if there's something that you guys can suggest, I'm all over that. I really love the Flosstubeversity. I think it's been a good way for me to kind of give back to our community and help to strengthen our stitchers. And I mean, for some people you may watch it and not learn anything, and other people you may watch it and learn a ton, or maybe one thing. But so far the feedback's been good, so I'm going to continue to film those with you guys. Okay, this is a long video, so let's wrap that up. Let's do Whip That Wheel. I'm just gonna cut over to my iPad. Oh my God, you guys. I went to go get the pattern, Ukrainian eggs, to share it with you. And I talked about it, and I talked about our sal, and I'm talking about my knitting, and I realize I'm not recording. So that's awesome. So I'm back for round 2. I'll do it all over again, I guess. So Ukrainian eggs is super exciting for me because it is actually canvas work. It's not cross stitch. And so canvas work is pretty cool, but very similar to cross stitch, and it goes by a lot quicker. So this pattern, Ukrainian eggs, it's by Laurel Designs. And think about like cross stitch but with some specialty stitches, which looks kind of intimidating at first, but really it's not. It's super easy to break it down and get stitching. So I was just running all over the house to get everything that I have for this, just to show you. And so this is canvas work, and canvas work is very similar to like a really firm even weave. Can you kind of see that there? It looks like about a 25 count, if you will. And I pop it on a frame and I'll stitch on there. And it's pretty stiff stuff. Like, I mean, it's all been rolled up, but if you know, it's pretty firm. So for this, we're actually using, not DMC regular cotton, but there is one in here. There's one. But these are all, you guys ever wonder what DMC number 5 and number 8 are? These are DMC number 5. So these are the threads for it. And it's like a little bit thicker than DMC cotton. Like, you know, when you get the really thick stuff that you use for like friendship bracelets and stuff like that, that would be comparable to this. And you don't separate it. You stitch with the entire, the thickness, it looks like there's probably just 2 skeins that are woven together there to make one thread. So you stitch with that. And then it also calls for a little bit of number 8. And number 8 is, it's actually a little bit thinner than the number 5. And that's an ecru. So I'll use that. And then I didn't know I even had this, because when I was doing my Mira tutorials, people were talking about how they use Rainbow Gallery Petite Treasure braid instead of Kreinik sometimes, because they find Kreinik is too fussy to work with. I thought, oh, I've never even seen that. I don't know what it looks like. I have that. And this is for that project. So it's like a shiny, like emerald green. So I've actually never worked with this before, so that will be fun to kind of test out. And then the last thing that goes with that is, of course, the there was a couple beads. I don't know if you guys saw that there. So just in the front of the package, there's some beads, and those gold beads go around the outside of these. I don't even know the name of it actually. Oh, so the canvas is actually, it says Zweigart's 18 count mono canvas, which really doesn't mean anything to me because I'm not well versed in canvas work, but that's what it is apparently. Yeah, so the beads also go here and at the ends here. So it'll be a really fun one to start. My dad's family is Ukrainian as well, so it's neat just to kind of stitch something that means, you know, something special to us, right? So my last thing for a cross stitch is our Year of the Dragon Sal. And so Samantha and I took the month of May off from stitching that because we wanted to really focus on Mirabilia. And now that it's June, we're shifting our focus back over. So I've pulled out my Celestial Dragon, but I'm not going to share it with you here today because I only stitched on it for a couple hours last night. And I'm frantically stitching now because we'll be filming soon for this the 10th of June. We have a video for Year of the Dragon. So what we end up doing in those videos, if you're new to them, is we take a few posts from Instagram from the last month, or in this case I guess 2 months, and share the progress and the projects that some other people have decided to stitch for a stitch along. The stitch along is any dragon you want. You can join at any point in the year, and it is running from February the 10th, which is Chinese or Lunar New Year, all the way till like for 1 year. So the 10th of every month we're releasing a video. tomorrow, or this week, we also have some giveaways too. So we've been making some dragon project bags that we'll be giving away. So, and then after that, it's about maybe 20-25 minutes, we'll be doing a stitch along with us, or stitch with us. So we're going to just film ourselves while we're stitching, but we'll have the conversation piece there of just what's happening in the cross stitch world. So if you're interested in just having a listen to what's going on, definitely, you know, tune in, check it out. It will be posted to my channel this month, and then we'll be back to Samantha's channel the following month. So if you were here just for stitching, thank you so much for joining me today. The last thing I have to share with you is just a really quick knitting project that I'm going to start. So every month this year I've decided to stitch one pair of socks, and I decided not to do that for May because I really wanted to focus on Mirabilia, and so I did that, and now I need to start a new pair of socks. So do you ever, as a knitter, do you ever get a skein of yarn and you know, we're always so drawn, I'm always so drawn to skeins that are just beautiful in color and they're variegated, but then when I stitch it up I think, oh, that's not, it looks so much nicer as a skein. And so I struggle with variegated yarns. I want to buy all variegated yarn, but I don't really particularly like how it knits up. And so this week, Steve & West released a new pattern special for variegated yarns, and it's amazing. I thought, oh, I can definitely make this. So it's a sock pattern, and it's called Dancing Droplet Socks, and I'll show you a picture, and I'll probably insert some pictures because the pattern I printed doesn't really do it justice, but the point is you see those little blips of color in there, and then he's used really bright contrasting yarn for the cuff and for the toes. And I thought, oh, I love anything braid, of course, right? So I was looking at my yarn order from I think 2 months ago from my cousin. She has that Yarn Habit, which is in Alberta, Canada. She dyes all of her own yarns, and I had ordered this one's called Intergalactic Planetary, think of Beastie Boys, right? And I ordered this pack. This is highlighter mini pack, and I've ordered it because the highlighter yellow apparently pairs very, very well. There's some in there with that one. And so when I had saw that pattern from Steve & West, I thought, oh, I know exactly what I'm going to stitch with that. So the issue with variegated yarn is that if I take this out, when we look at this, you know, we have the purple that runs through here, we have some white, and then of course my favorite part are the blips of color. Look at that highlighter yellow that's just hiding in there, right? So when we start looking through this, you know, when you stitch it, you end up losing that color. Look at that yellow there, right? And you end up with these, each line is a different stripe, and you just, it's never as nice as it is when it's wound up in a skein. And so I'm going to stitch these socks and see what happens, because when we unravel this, you can see, like, don't know if you can really even see here. Let's go this way. You've got the purple here. You've got this gorgeous, look at that, right? You've got these gorgeous pops of color through there, and then it goes to white and back to purple. So I am super stoked to cast this on and, you know, see how that turns out. I think it will be amazing, especially, you know, with that toe. I might use a different color, but right now I was thinking the highlighter yellow, but we'll see. I could maybe even just do green or something totally different. So we'll see how that goes, but I'm super excited for that. So if you guys check back in a couple, probably my next video, I'll have one sock done to share with you guys. I think that's it for my video today. I thank you so very much if you have stuck with me for my little knitting portion, which really was, you know, 5 minutes, not much to it. But I really hope that you've enjoyed yourself and you have a good sense of community, and that you hop on over to Nicola Parkman. Go check it out. download her free pattern and learn some new stitches. And then the other thing is just reminders for the giveaway. So the code word or keyword for Tree of Hope is hope. And then also I'm looking for some feedback for a couple things. Flosstubeversity, what would you like the next episodes to be about? And then also for Samantha's Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow, what do you think I should do there? Should I do an outline and start a block, or should I dive in for the full coverage and see if I can do those 10,000 stitches in the next 2 months? Which is more challenging than it sounds, because I'm not exclusively stitching on that. That is a side project. So thank you so much for joining. Have a wonderful day and happy stitching, you guys. Bye for now.